EMSA today is an important integrated part of our joint efforts in Europe to enhance safe, secure and environmentally friendly shipping. Furthermore, EMSA is an important reference point where stakeholders meet, exchange ideas, develop solutions and add value to what we can do individually.
L'Agenzia Europea per la Sicurezza Marittima, dopo gli incidenti delle navi petrolifere Erika e Prestige, ha dato una risposta alle proteste delle industrie e della pubblica opinione che chiedevano una maggiore sicurezza e protezione dell'ambiente marittimo. I cittadini europei sono interessati ad una migliore protezione della vita umana in mare, delle acque e delle coste dell'Unione. Ciò premesso, la Commissione europea ha proposto nel dicembre del 2000 la creazione di un'agenzia per sostenere sia la Commissione che gli Stati membri. L'EMSA fu costituita nel 2003 e il suo obiettivo è abbastanza semplice: migliorare la sicurezza marittima e la protezione ambientale. Vorrei dunque soffermarmi su questi compiti che rappresentano un valore aggiunto a livello comunitario. In primo luogo, fornire assistenza alla Commissione verificando l'esecuzione dell'esistente normativa marittima europea. In secondo luogo, l'Agenzia offre un supporto aggiuntivo alla capacità degli Stati membri con particolare riguardo all'inquinamento marittimo dei trasporti. La Commissione europea continuerà a concentrare sforzi per migliorare la sicurezza in questo settore e l'Agenzia rappresenterà il mezzo fondamentale per sviluppare i progetti concreti.
Having been originally set up in Brussels in 2003, EMSA has its headquarters in the centre of Lisbon. The staff are housed in a modern, purpose-built building which provides a quality work environment and allows the efficient hosting of international meetings. The agency's objective is quite straightforward: improving maritime safety and security, as well as environmental protection and preparedness. These objectives are addressed through a matrix of mainly preventative but also reactive tasks in a number of key areas. This is reflected in the organization of the agency, which comprises 3 departments: the Implementation Department, the Operations Department and the Corporate Services Department. The agency is already proving its added value and has been recognized as a fundamental platform for discussions and exchanges of best practice in the interests of continuously improving maritime safety. The first pillar of EMSA's activities concerns verification of the proper implementation of EU maritime safety legislation, and EMSA carries out this work through its visits programme. This means on-the-spot visits to EU member states as well as third countries. The aim here is to provide uniform technical support to the EU member states and the European Commission in ensuring that EU legislation on ship safety is effectively and consistently applied. It audits the performance of classification societies, which often act on behalf of flag states in order to ensure that ships fulfill international rules. It also monitors port state control throughout the EU. The objective here is to ensure that there is consistent and effective inspection of ships in EU ports, and thereby to ensure that ships sailing in EU waters are properly maintained and operated, regardless of where they are registered. In addition, EMSA provides support to the European Commission in order to assess and improve security standards in shipping. It also provides technical support in developing policy and legislation in each of these areas. Although human casualties and oil spilled have decreased hugely in recent years, the number and cost of accidents in and around EU waters has increased significantly, and human error is cited more and more as a major causal factor. Seafarers operating on board EU ships and in EU waters may come from many different countries around the world. To address these issues, EMSA provides support to the European Commission by auditing education systems and establishments in the main countries in the world which supply seafarers to the EU fleet, in order to assess compliance with EU rules for implementing the standards of training, certification and watchkeeping convention. The second pillar concerns a very important area which is growing in significance at the present time, namely the marine environment. The main issues are avoiding the discharge of waste into the sea and controlling the emission of exhaust gases, including greenhouse gases, into the air and atmosphere, as well as the exchange of ballast water from different parts of the world. The control of chemical emissions from anti-fouling paints and the human and environmental damage arising from the dismantling of ships are also significant issues being addressed. Environmental issues are high on the EU agenda. and EMSA provides different types of support to the EU member states and the European Commission in each of these areas. One of the main areas where EMSA has been active is in the work on improving the availability and use of ship waste collection systems in EU ports. In support of its work on ensuring compliance with EU legislation, the agency also provides training to officers from member states and acceding countries involved in port state control, as well as to those involved in maritime safety in general. Training sessions are usually organized at EMSA headquarters, but are sometimes held in member states, with the aim of ensuring the consistent and effective application of EU legislation. The third pillar covers vessel traffic monitoring, which is an area where the agency's responsibilities are developing rapidly. Here, the ultimate goal is to enable EU member states to identify all commercial ships in and around their waters, and to know their position, heading, destination and cargo, particularly when the cargo could be potentially dangerous. The system is based on shore-based stations receiving signals from ships heading towards or leaving EU ports. This information will contribute to improving safety in general, prevention and detection of pollution by ships, and the response of authorities to emergencies. The system being developed builds on the Safe Seanet concept, and it will eventually receive AIS automatic identification system and LRIT long-range identification and tracking data from all ships of interest to EU member states. A significant development underway is the setup of the EU LRIT data center, which will receive data from EU-flagged ships and which will also exchange data with other LRIT data centers around the world. This is perhaps the most challenging task, but also the one where EMSA's added value can most clearly be demonstrated. The Clean Seanet system has been set up so that EMSA can supply member states with a satellite monitoring capability that can spot oil slicks in and around EU waters and monitor their position and size. Clean Seanet obtains pollution data from Envisat and RadarSat satellites and relays it to member state operators. This gives them the information necessary to confirm the pollution using surface vessels or surveillance aircraft and to identify culprits. The system has the potential to be a major deterrent to deliberate pollution by ships in and around EU waters, particularly once the Safe Seanet and Clean Seanet systems are properly integrated. Shipping accidents happen, and when they do, EMSA also plays an important role in cleaning up oil spilled at sea. To do this, it has built up a substantial fleet of contracted oil pollution response vessels which are stationed at strategic positions around the entire EU coastline and provide the Commission and EU member states, upon their request, with an effective additional oil pollution response capability in times of emergency. The EMSA vessels are involved in regular training exercises to ensure that the crew and other resources can be mobilized efficiently at any time. The EMSA contracted fleet makes a significant contribution to the creation of a comprehensive, consistent and effective coastal oil pollution response service. Looking to the future, EMSA is likely to receive further important tasks, especially relating to improvements in the EU maritime safety system introduced through the third maritime safety package. Initiatives such as the introduction of the new inspection system for port state control, maritime accident investigation improvements will have to be developed. These are some key activities in which EMSA is operational. Now let's hear what the EMSA Executive Director has to say about the future.
We have to deliver in the next year a number of large systems that we have been developing over the last 2 years. Systems in the field of traffic monitoring, Safe Seanet and long-range identification and tracking. Next year we have to demonstrate that these systems actually work and that they provide the service that the member states' administrations expect. If we are successful and our clients are satisfied, then I'm sure that this organization will continue to grow and that new tasks will be defined and new challenges will be identified.